Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, Iowa soccer supporters. Welcome to Soccer Talk. My name is Ben Brackett, and I'm here with my good buddy Blake Sievers, ready to talk soccer. What's up, Siebes?
Bracket man, not a lot. We're doing like a Zoom things, which we haven't done in quite a while. So it's figuring out all the kinks, but doing good. I mean, we're in the heat or height, whatever you want to say, of the high school soccer season, and I'm loving it, man.
Both work. Those are both good. Good. Yeah, I'm loving it too. It's been kind of fun. I think the more games we see, the more I get sort of drawn into it. And Siebes, I was talking to some guys tonight. I played a little pickup soccer on the side, and they were talking about high school soccer, man. I'll tell you what, there were some Dowling boys, multiple Dowling guys talking about how their big win last night. Oh, I think it was over Urbandale.
Yeah, I mean we've been going to quite a few games. We've seen Dowling, Norwalk, we've seen Johnston, Urbandale, Ankeny Centennial girls as well are on that side. So it's we have sub states coming up here, winter go home here in a week. So again, weather's turning, games mean a little bit more. So I'm loving it. I can't wait. We're getting into the meat of it.
Well, yeah, and that's what I was going to say. Is it's interesting because one of these pods coming up, I'd love to do a little segment on how the rankings happen and then how the sub-states get picked. And then it's interesting. So there's apparently a handbook or a manual. And so leading up, now currently, sub-state seedings have been picked, Steve's. This is true. It's happened. So after the next game, Friday game, doesn't matter. So Dowling and Johnson play. It's a big game. They're in the same sub-state, but it doesn't matter for rankings. So I'm just curious about how this whole thing works. And then I think it'll be really interesting to kind of compare it to the girls' system, which I think is arguably done maybe just a little more logically. I don't know. Maybe logically is not the right way, but anyway, I'm curious. Well, so I think we're gonna have to do a little deep dive there.
Yeah, I mean, that's super interesting you say that because again, we come pretty unprepared, but our friends over in Nebraska have their state soccer games over at Morrison Stadium, which to me is Creighton, but they play 4 games in a day. And one of our podcast followers went to go watch, and they charged per game to go watch. So you're like, yeah. So we have an awesome setup. The Iowa High School Boys Association has done an unbelievable job, I think, of having that first day at Cownie with 4 games at a time. You hear roars from all sorts of areas of the complex, and in Nebraska they are literally 1 game at a time. And if you want to go to all 4 games for the day, and that's class A, and then you got to pay for each game. So I mean, you're paying, I can't even imagine how much, but it's a credit to our association.
Yeah.
No. Yeah. So we need to do some digging.
Exactly. We do. We will, because that's what we do for our Kick Sports supporters. But in the meantime, we're extending our player spotlight, which is our new segment. Last month we had Leroy Inzaguzzi on to talk about his professional journey, and sounds like he's down in Nashville trying to earn a spot right now. But we've got a very exciting female player that we're going to interview here soon. But in the meantime, we've got the high school. He's tied for the most goals in Class 3A, 27 goals. This is true. I looked it up, Blake, so don't look at me like that. 27 goals and not even close to 20 games. Jaren Obia, a Grandview commit, Valley soccer player, and Sporting Iowa as well. pretty fun to chat with him, and I mean, I was impressed. I think he's got a strong character, and I enjoyed chatting with him.
Yeah, I mean, I'll admit I had no idea who he was up until our futsal event back in March, right before the season started, and
You
I
loved
saw
him
the
at the
guy.
football. You loved him.
I did. I did, and like we've talked about it. I was like, he was unbelievable, to be honest. Scored a ton of goals, super athletic, technical, ran past guys. Like he got absolutely kicked like crazy and got up,
Pop right
dealt
back
with
up.
it.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, I was like I said, I'd never seen or heard of the guy before. And I was like, holy cow, this kid's quality, he's good. And unfortunately, find out he's going to Grandview instead of Drake, which I'm not super fond of, but no, super mature. Blair picked up to me, off the field, the kid that's not going to get in trouble, smart, sounds like a good student, but then on the field is clearly gonna, I think, contribute right away.
Yeah, no doubt. Let's just get to it though. Let's chat with Jaren.
Yeah, the longest intro ever. So here we go. Let's get to it, Jaren.
Jaren Obia, welcome to the pod. What's up, man? How are you?
Doing good. How about you?
Great. Thanks for joining us this evening. We appreciate you taking the time.
Yeah, thanks for inviting me.
So, do you listen to podcasts much?
Yeah, I've listened to a couple on like YouTube and stuff, but this is the first podcast I've ever been on. So.
Ooh, wow. Have you listened to the Kick It Forward podcast before?
Yeah, I've listened to a couple of you guys.
Okay, so nice. So you do know the first. Wow, look at this guy. He's sharp.
Yeah.
This is the first person you jumped the gun and told us the answer. I like it.
Yeah.
Take on.
It might be the shortest podcast ever, Ben. It might be the shortest podcast ever if he takes the answers of all of our questions because he knows what's coming.
We'll see how clever he is then, I suppose. Well, so Jaren, we just kind of, we'll have introduced you obviously in the, sort of like intro and stuff. So, why don't you just tell us a little bit about yourself and kind of how you got into playing soccer when you were a kid?
Yeah, so I just from like a young age, so my dad really introduced me to the game because, he came from like Nigeria. He immigrated here when he was around 20. And they're Africans, they love soccer all the way through, they're playing every single day. So when I was around, I'd say 3 to 4 years old, he's been kind of like my mentor and my coach my entire life. And he just introduced me to the game. And I just fell in love with it from the start, just playing. And I played up with like my brother and all them. Like, I think it was like 6 and I was like 4. And I'd always just love dribbling the ball, even like the basement and all that stuff. And he was always playing with me, and I just fell in love with the game, just from the start, and that's kind of how I got into it.
So are you one of two, or how many siblings do you have?
I have one son. I have an older brother.
Gotcha.
How old is he?
He is a junior he's going to be a junior at Iowa State, so he's almost
2021-ish. And what are you? Are you 17 or 18 now?
18.
He's official, boys and girls.
Yeah,
I like
official adult.
Nice. So does your brother still play?
No, he did, but then he's more of a basketball player, so he ended up moving on to that. But then now he's just going to school at Iowa State.
Fair enough.
So where did you grow in West Des Moines? Soccer club,
I went. Yeah, so I went down like the West Des Moines route, just like the little like U8 like 4v4 stuff, and I moved on to Select Academy.
You played down at like Raccoon River?
Yeah, I did that type of stuff from the early ages. And I
played for West Des Moines way back in the day.
Jaren. Oh yeah.
but the Raccoon River fields, the equivalent of that was Hidden Valley, like the crappy fields were Hidden Valley.
Mm-hmm. So, yeah, now they're super nice. So
exactly.
Yeah, I know. So yeah, kind of like reiterating on that. So I went from kind of like that U8 stuff, and then I ended up going to like Select Academy because they have like you can go like down the Select route, you can go on the recreational route, and I ended up doing the Select stuff.
What birth year are you then?
Huh?
What birth year are you?
I'm 02.
Crazy. Gotcha.
Yeah.
Okay.
So who are your, like, we always like talking, who are some of your coaches like in the academy and then going through 11s, 12s, 13s, 14s ish, like in the youngest age groups? Do you remember?
13s I had Gareth, the great coach. I had him, and then I've had like Rich Bywater. I've had some of those Grandview guys. 11s and 12s. That's far back. Yeah, I
Yeah,
can't
we're
seem
going
to,
way back, aren't we?
yeah, I can't seem to remember them, but yeah, 13s I had Gareth, and 14s I had Rich Bywater, and 15s I had Ross Moffett. I had him, and then
Back in it, Ross Moffett.
yeah,
Yeah.
so I had Ross 15s and 16s, 17s I had Matt Ream, and then 18s and 19s I had Jamie McQuillan, I believe so. So yeah.
And that's interesting just because I'm trying to think like, I suppose I did have a varying degree of coaches, but I changed teams a lot when I was growing up. So
Oh yeah.
it's interesting to like a lot, like I think like Blake, you probably had the same coach for a few years in a row there for a while, right?
Yeah, yeah. I mean, I think now it's kind of like 2 years is like the standard, I guess, maybe a lot of
Yeah,
clubs.
if you've had a coach for more than 2 years, it's time to move.
Yeah. Yeah, there's a lot of switches. Like, I think U13, Gareth then went to work for like Iowa Soccer, so then we couldn't have him anymore. And then Rich, I think he moved on to another team. And then Ross then went to also go work with Iowa Soccer. So we had him for like 1 year and then they just left. So it's like we had the best that we could get for that 1 year. So
So what's
It's
it
a
like?
carousel, isn't it?
yeah.
Yeah. What's it like, Jaren, to just play for like a bunch of different coaches? Like, is it hard for you to adjust to your style of play, or
I think, just kind of going with like the Western Moines Sporting. I mean, we basically have like the same like philosophy throughout like the club and everything. So even with like different coaches, it's not too hard to adjust. They may have a couple of different tactics or whatever, but it's usually not that hard to adjust. We love, trying to like keep possession all the time, and we worked on like a same amount of press. And most of the coaches that I've had, they've actually had like the like very like similar tactics and very similar ways to play. So it hasn't been actually too hard to adjust, and I haven't really had to adjust my game too much to their liking or anything like that. It's been pretty like consistent throughout my youth career, so it hasn't been too bad at all.
nice?
Have you always been like an attacking player, or had like what position growing up, like the youngest ages and whatnot?
Yeah, so younger ages, I probably played like a box to box, like an 8, something like around like the midfield, maybe like 11s and 12s. And then 13s and 14s, I started getting probably a little bit more attacking. I'd say like attacking mid. I also played a lot of winger as well. I can play out there as well. Which I did in high school my sophomore year. So, but I say yeah, mostly either like that like attacking type midfielder or like a winger. That's usually where I played throughout club, I'd say.
What's your favorite position? So like next year you go to Blair Reed comes and says, "Hey, Jaren, where do you want to play at? What would be
I
your
don't think
pick?"
that's how it works.
Yeah,
You never
he can
know.
put yeah. I like attacking mid, but if coach wants to put me wherever, I can go and play it. So I'll do whatever's best for the team. But I prefer like attacking mid. I think it suits my strengths pretty well. So that's at least where I like to play. But if he wants to put me anywhere, I'll play from there. So
Can you talk a little bit about that? Playing different positions. Sorry, Ben.
Nope, please go ahead.
But just playing different positions growing up and how that has maybe benefited you from, like being able to play, I mean, in the middle of midfield, like as a holding midfielder, now as a winger, now as an attacking midfielder. Because ultimately, right, when you get to the next level, which is at Grandview, you may not be the best winger, but you just want to play, right? So
yeah,
talk a
exactly.
little bit about how that has helped you kind of grow and
I think it
evolve.
definitely helps because each position has like a specific set of like stuff that you have to do. Like a winger, you have to be really good at taking people one on one and being a little bit crafty and a little more creative when you're up top. Well, say you're like a defensive midfielder, your job is basically either win the ball back on like a counterattack or just play simple and just keep the ball. So I think that playing like different positions throughout, it just kind of like exposed me to those like other positions and those other ways to play the game. So now when I go to the next level, I'll know like, okay, like this is where I need to be. I need to be in this specific position. whether I'm playing winger or whether I'm playing attacking mid, defensive mid. I think it just kind of opens up the game a lot more, and it makes you see, different perspectives and where you need to go and where you need to play. And I think it's definitely helped me out wherever. Because say I'm like in like the midfield or whatever, but then say I'm drifting out to the right, like I'm not going to be like confused. Like, oh yeah, I don't know where to go on the right wing. Like, okay, like I played it before, so I know exactly where I need to be. And I just think it helps you be a little bit more creative in your runs and stuff, and it helps you like think about the game and a lot smarter, I'd say.
So you've talked about playing, essentially for like the same club, your entire, excuse me, youth career. Um, what's that like, as far as like your teammates and stuff go? Like, are there guys that you started playing with when you were like 8, 9, 10, 11?
Yeah.
that you're
Oh
playing
yeah,
with?
yeah. Yeah, I've known a bunch of my teammates for like a super long time, and we all just grew through the process together. And even some of them I've gone to school with, so it's just it really helps out too with just like team chemistry and all that stuff. Just you're playing, you've known these kids that you're like 8, 9, 10 years old. So then when you're hitting 16, 17, 18, like you know exactly where they're going to be running, you know exactly how you need to talk to them and stuff like that. So I think it's definitely helped with like team chemistry and how we all played through like the same system. And so we all know our roles and where we need to be. And it just helps to just some more being like more like a family, It's not just like, oh, like, hey, like you're like my teammate or like, I know like we're like an entire family because we've just known each other for so long and we're all really good friends and we all want to see each other do positive stuff throughout the day, whether it's going to school later or getting a college offer. And we all want to see each other do really well. So I think it's just more like a family bond type of thing. And it really helps when you start it young because, when you're older, and some kid moves in and you're like U18, you might not be able to get to know him as well than if you met him when you were 8, 9, or 10. So yeah, I think it definitely helps just knowing that you can make friends and you can, not as long as just teammates, you can also make friends as well when you're super young and then just play soccer with them and have fun with them, throughout your entire youth career. So.
So
So go ahead, Blake.
real quick, Ben, just to name drop a couple boys that you enjoy playing with, and have had success with. I mean, you want to give any for the old guys, like our legend series, we like to ask about some of the old names, but like, do you want to mention anybody, or are they keeping those pretty tight to the chest?
No, I mean, I don't know if you guys know Aidan Ward. I think he played with us a couple years back. I mean, I've known him for a super long time and he's played with us at varsity level and he's just been like always like a really good friend of mine. And then some of my teammates right now, like Seth Barker, I've known him for a super long time and he's the captain with me, so it's always nice to, have like a friend that's right next to you and that somebody you can grow up with and play the game with. So I'd say those are just a couple names. Our teams did change a lot because especially with like that little like 02, 03 rule thingy that happened. So like, I was playing with like the same group of guys till like U15 and then it all switched up. So we had to play with some new players. So those are the two that I can remember off the top of my head. There's a lot more, but those are just two names where like we went to school together and we know each other a lot and we're really good friends. So those are just a couple names, I'd say.
Well, so we love segues, like on our podcast. So this is a good one to sort of talk about high school soccer. So you talk about you mentioned some of the guys you play with, but then so a lot of the guys that you play club with, are they also Valley players, or these is it all different clubs?
We have like a mix. So we have like maybe like eight or nine, 10 people from sporting. I mean, we have 3 kids from VSA. We have a couple kids from like FC United, like Des Moines Menace or whatever. So we have more of like a mix, I'd say. So it's not all from sporting, but I think we all play. We all know. I think us and VSA we play a similar system, I'd say. So I think, but then we all kind of like integrate our own strengths into the team, which definitely helps out. But yeah, I'd say it's a mix. I'd say it's a mix. I'd have to think. Yeah, because we have it's majority sporting players, but we have some VSA and some Menace players as well. So
That's fair. I was just curious, kind of my where I was kind of going with my line of questioning was just, you talk about what it's like to play with like a lot of the same players on the club side regularly. What's it like then to put on the old orange and black and play for Valley? And if I remember correctly, you were playing as a freshman, so you've gotten to play with all sorts of different guys over the years. And I would guess that I know from playing for both Aziz and Dreyer that their style of coaching probably isn't exactly the same as the club coaches. So talk about just like what that's like.
It's definitely different. It's definitely something that, you sort of have to adjust to. Like when I came in as a freshman, it's just the tactics, they were completely different. And so it kind of took me a while just, kind of like figure out like where I needed to be or where I needed to go and where I needed to talk to. And going along with this too, just sort of like the adjustment too, just to like high school and club in general. But I came in as like a freshman and I'm really small, and they have to go up against these 18-year-old kids. They're all so much taller, so much faster than you, and it's a really big adjustment. And I'd say that it's definitely taken time, but I think once I figured it out, I definitely have enjoyed playing high school. I think that that club and high school are definitely different. But I think that, especially if you just if you keep honing your skills and you keep practicing, that it's not it's a big of an adjustment at first, but then once you understand the type of play that high school is. Cause I think for me, in club, there's a lot more, I'd say possession, and there's a lot more tactical things. When, high school, it can get a little bit, a little bit chippy at sometimes. Especially if you're playing a rival game or something like us against Dowling or us against Waukee or something like that. It can get a lot more chippy. So you just kind of have to adjust to it, and you're gonna have to figure out just a way to get around it. But that's just kind of been my experience. I had to go to the gym a lot more just to bulk up just a little bit more, because if you stay small, you're not going to be able to hold on a high school field. Whereas club, you're playing kids, they are your own age, so you're able to adjust. But high school, I'd say it takes a little bit of adjustment, but I'd say I've done pretty well. It's been a decent experience for me. So I say, yeah, that's what I'd say about that.
So other than getting in the weight room, what was it like when you're playing as a 14-year-old against 17 and 18-year-olds? Especially as a little guy, did you just automatically have to clean up your first touch and playing less touches?
Yeah. And I usually got a lot. I mean, I remember my first game, I got extremely nervous. So I was like, oh, I had to go up against all these big guys or whatever. But just to me,
How big were you?
I was probably 5.
Oh, small.
I'd say on the same height, maybe an inch shorter. So I was probably 5'6", but I was probably 125 or something like that. I was a weenie. I was tiny. But
you were barely playing on the heavyweight football team in junior high if you wanted, probably.
Oh yeah, but yeah, I'd say when I came in, it's a lot quicker, especially you're a 14-year-old kid and you're going up against 18-year-olds. I mean, the skill gap is there. The speed of play is so much faster. I'm not going to be able to, because one of my strengths is my speed and whatever. So I'm not going to be able to just kick the ball and try and run around somebody. They're a lot faster than me. They're a lot quicker than me. They make decisions a lot quicker. So I think that, and just over the high school years, I definitely, especially during the off season and stuff, I definitely, worked out with my dad, or worked out with my coaches. And I took everything just trying to get to the next level. I was really focused. I had to clean up my first touch. I had to make my speed of play better. I watched a lot of professional games and all that stuff, and just kind of analyze where they were at. And I think that definitely helped me sort of adjust. Cause then once I got to my sophomore year, I feel I was, ingrained into the system, and I could, hold my own out there. But freshman year it was sort of a wake up call. You're going to have to adjust your game if you want to be successful. So I think that definitely was a good experience for me, and it kind of helped, shape who I am today. Just getting getting those bumps and getting shoulder down and all that type, going up for headers even though you're not as tall. So I think that just continuing just to practice and perfect my game, especially technically, especially when you're not the biggest at all. You got to have your foot skills, you got to have your first touch on, it's got to be on point. So that's something I definitely really honed on as I continue to go out through my high school years.
There are older players like juniors and seniors that have sort of like taken or took you under their wing at that point, or
Oh
like
yeah,
like
yeah,
pick you up and drop you off and all that fun stuff.
yeah, no, yeah. All the seniors, they were really good to me. Like Jordy, Triana, and
Jordy's the man.
yeah, Ethan Curry, all of them. They all,
Nice.
yeah, they all took me under my wing, and they thought I was a really good player, and they only wanted to see me do good. So it was definitely good to have them to support me and to definitely also just push me. Our practices, we weren't like messing around at practice. Like we're coming in, like if I had a bad touch, like yeah, they would let me know, which is that's what I want. Like I want to work on my mistakes, and that definitely helped me just continue.
So I imagine like Jordy's a pretty nice guy. Right? But like and Ethan's a nice guy too, but I could see Ethan being like really yelling at you or, lighting you up a little bit. What was that like when you were a freshman getting lit up by some of the older players, or even I bet you Aziz yelled at you at least once.
Oh yeah. Yeah, I mean that's just something that, you just gotta deal with it. For me, it wasn't like I wasn't like, yeah, I was getting yelled at, and yeah, maybe I got like a little bit annoyed sometimes. But for me, it's just it's gonna happen, especially when you're young. So you just have to adjust and honestly just absorb the information that they're bringing to you. Because at the end of the day, if you're all like sulking down and you're not really focused on like the positive of the situation, you're not gonna get any better. So you just have to, just deal with it and just continue to keep your head up. And so then, if you keep your head down, you're just gonna keep making the same mistakes over and over and over again. So for me, it's just always about just keeping my head up. And even if I mess up one time, I'm gonna try like say like I mess up like a skill move, like I'm gonna try the same skill move to make sure that I perfect it. So it's more of like that thing. You can't really keep getting down. You just have to absorb the information and move on and just do what you can to help out the team.
Blake and I used to have a coach that said, "Don't listen to or listen to what I'm saying, not how I'm saying."
Yeah.
Do you
Yeah.
remember that?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So occasionally, that's a good reminder as a young player. Is just like, "Oh, okay, what's he saying? Okay, got it."
Yeah, just
Not,
got it. Just got it.
oh,
Move on.
yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
Ooh, that wasn't very nice. Okay,
Yeah.
well, um, so you talked about your dad a little bit and how he's had an influence on you. Um, so he coached you all growing up?
Yeah. Oh, he's the one. He's been by my side the entire way. He's the one that, even if I didn't want to go out and practice, he'd be like, Jaren, like, let's go practice. Let's go improve. And
Did he play?
huh?
Did he play?
He played. He played like high school in like Nigeria because that's where he's from.
Sure, but like he knows the game. Like he
Yeah.
can
Oh yeah. Yeah.
receive a
He
ball. He
played.
can like shoot it. He can.
Yeah. Oh yeah. Yeah.
Oh,
Yeah. Yeah. For sure. He played at Nebraska Cownie back in like the 90s and stuff. So
cool.
he knows a lot about a game. He watches a lot of the game, and he's definitely giving me super good advice throughout the years. And because even when I was younger, like he really got on me too. And at first, I was like, like why are you getting on me? Why are you yelling at me? And because that's what I used to do. But then once I started getting older, I really understood like where he was coming from, and all he wanted to do was help me. And now, whenever he gives me advice, I'm just absorbing it all in and just taking it in because he's been by my side since the beginning, and it's always good to have support, especially from your dad that you see every single day. So it's something.
Listen to this maturity, Blake. You should so Blake's kid's what, 6 or 7, almost 7 now. And he doesn't always like to listen to his dad when his dad's coaching.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean,
Yeah, I'm gonna play.
When I was young,
that part on repeat, Jaren. Just in the car every time we go anywhere, just on repeat.
Yeah. When I was younger, I used to get really annoyed. I used to be like, hey, like, yeah, stop yelling at me, like all that. But once you get older, you'll start to realize that all they want to do is help you. And I think that once I started doing that, once I started becoming more coachable, it's definitely improved me too, because he knows what he's talking about. So he's definitely helped, shape where I am today and all me being successful. He was a super big part of that, and so I really couldn't thank him anymore.
What things are
I
you
got
doing? Go ahead, Blake.
no, go ahead, Ben.
I was just saying, what things are you doing other than playing soccer? Like, I mean, are you just like literally like going to the gym and then like doing like speed and agility workouts and then like watching pro games and like playing FIFA and that's it? Or like what else is Jaren Obia up to?
I mean, when I was younger, I used to play like a bunch of sports. I was that guy. I was like, oh, like I'm like a four-sport athlete. Like, I used to play like flag football, and I used to play basketball a lot. I played up to like my freshman year, but then I ended up quitting just because I really wanted to focus on soccer. But I mean, besides that, I'm really just, I don't really go out a lot like that much. I'd say, I'm not really like a social butterfly. So I'd say I really stay at home and just keep to myself a lot. I'll watch a lot of Netflix or Hulu, and I'll watch a bunch of movies and stuff like that. So, and I'd say I'm more of like a curious person. So I'm always outside as well. I like photography a lot. So I go out and I take pictures and stuff of like just nature in general, whether it's like birds or plants and stuff like that. Just like get outside the house a little bit because especially when you're not that social or that much, you don't want to be inside all day. So I go outside. I'll take walks. I'll go on a bike ride and stuff like that. But besides that, I'm really just it's either I'm watching TV, watching pro games, playing video games with my friends on Xbox and stuff like that. So that's what a typical day usually looks like. So.
So what I gotta ask, because we've talked a lot about like the weightlifting piece, and like you said, you're not the tallest, biggest, strongest guy. But I'm curious, one, like what do you bench? And then two, I'll follow that up after you answer that question.
Well,
Nah,
side note, Jaren, I do remember seeing you as like a 14-year-old and being like, dude, this kid is like he's a little shrimp. And like,
I really was.
but then I saw you at the mini pitch thing in March, and I was like, oh, okay, like you filled out, you look like you can hang.
Yeah, I've got a little. I haven't benched in forever. I
Well,
mean,
For
don't
squat,
kid
I mean,
yourself. Blake
what
can't
do you guys? No, yeah, I mean, like I think to me, like benching is like this, especially for soccer players, is like to me silly.
yeah,
But I
yeah. I
think
don't
like
do much. I do more like body weight stuff. Like maybe I'll take like some dumbbells and do this stuff. Or I'll just do like a ton of push-ups and a ton of sit-ups and stuff like that. And I'll take like bands and like put them up and stuff like that. So I don't do much of like like football, like massive gain weightlifting and nothing like that. But it's just stuff to just fill you up. So like if you're going shoulder to shoulder, like I can at least be able to take it and not go to ground right away. Just stuff like that. So
what do you weigh now? So you came in like at 125-ish. What do you weigh now as a senior leaving Valley?
140, 145. I'm still trying to increase that.
Okay.
I'm trying to get to 150 probably by college. So I think that's a pretty good weight.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, you're still like a
Yeah,
shrimp
I'm
compared
still
to.
small. I'm still smaller, but
Yeah,
it's better
Yeah,
than being 125.
yeah, no, I can't say anything
yes.
because I'm like that. I'm the boy that's got to like lose weight, and I
Yeah.
just can't. I literally can't say anything, or Blake's gonna he's gonna skewer me. So we'll just let that ride. I'm glad to know that you have to put weight on though. Good for you.
Yeah. Yeah.
No, but so just I mean, I think there's a lot of kids out there that are small in stature that are
Mhm.
technically good, but they hear like, hey, you're not strong enough, you're not fast enough, or whatnot. So like just we just talk a little bit about how you have kind of survived and thrived, maybe use it as like a benefit or a positive aspect instead of kind of a negative or whatnot.
I just ever since I was been a young age, especially like my dad, and I've watched like videos and stuff. And the key is just to always be confident and just to never like back down to anyone. Like I like for me, like I don't care how tall you are, I don't care how big you are. Like I'm gonna give it my best every single game. Like I'm gonna fight. You know I've always had this little saying like I'm small but I'm mighty. Just I'm coming there every single day. I'm gonna bring my might on you, and soccer really isn't a game where you have to be extremely massive in order to perfect the game. There's so many other things, especially when you're technical. As long as you can hold yourself and you can take a couple shoulders, because there's ways to get around it. Like instead of trying to go in for, big shoulders, maybe we can put in a fake or two, just to get them off balance. So, you can work on your agility and how to get around them with pace or get around them using skill moves. And that's just something that I've always had to adjust to, just because I've always been smaller. So I've always been, honing in on technicality and first touch, because you don't get into that many 50-50s with big people all the time on the soccer field, especially if you're positioning in your movements really well. So I say for just young people, like people that are really small, just, just don't, just to never back down and always be confident, and always be, believe in yourself that, like, hey, like if you put in the work outside and you continue to hone your skills, that, you can do anything you want on the pitch, and just to have fun out there, regardless of who you're up and playing against, just to continue to have fun and just play your game, and use your technical skills and find other creative ways to get around people that might be a little bit bigger than you.
Have you ever gotten just like really lit up, just like crushed in a tackle before?
No, oh yeah, oh yeah.
Oh, I was saying, bracket, like at the futsal event, Jaren, we didn't talk about this before, but I was the referee that everybody complained about. But
Yeah. I remember seeing you there.
He's like, I remember.
Yeah, you got bladed, but he got kicked like 6 or 7 times by running past guys, and like, I mean, and that's on concrete. I mean, I remember like you like had scuffed up elbows and knee. Like,
I know. Yeah, I was bleeding from like my hand. I was bleeding like right here from my. I had to go get like a little like tape bandage or something.
Yeah, I hooked you up.
Yeah,
I mean, I remember you running past guys and like literally you were getting like, I think if there's young people listen, you're getting the crap kicked out of you.
Yeah.
And just like destroys, like, man, like, because you're running past people. It's like, man, there's the solution.
Oh yeah. But yeah, no, I remember playing that futsal tournament was super fun, by the way. That was I love playing in that. I think it's a really good thing, especially just to bring the community together and just play those little tournaments. I think that's really fun. But yeah, those futsal tournaments, they're definitely a little bit more physical, and you really have to hone your foot skills in that, because if you don't have any foot skills, some kid's just gonna come and just bring it all out. So
and do you play futsal in the winter as well, like in the gyms?
yeah, we go to like local like elementary schools, and we play like 5-on-5 in the gym just to stay in shape, because if we did it and then we coming in, we'd have to do like an hour of conditioning every day. So
yeah, fair enough.
I gotta have that conditioning beforehand.
So
how did it go ahead, Ben?
No, please, Blake.
I would say, so you talked a little bit about like the club high school kind of dynamic. How is it going into high school where results matter? Like you have to win, like you guys are playing to win, you're set up to win in high school, especially now. I mean, we're getting to sub-state.
Yeah.
And you guys, like, no matter how quote pretty you play or how much of the ball you keep, it doesn't matter if you guys lose the game. So
yeah,
I mean, it's just talk a little bit about like how mentally, and do you enjoy one over the other as far as like, hey, we have to win the game? And I just talk about that a little bit.
I definitely like the high school experience in a way where it's just like you're kind of building toward like a goal, just like at the beginning of the season, you might be a little bit rusty, but then as you continue down the path, you're always honed in on the one thing, and that's really to make state. For Valley, our standards are high, so we want to win it regardless of how good other teams are. Like our standards are set so high. So, and I think that it definitely I think it honestly helps like mentally as well. Just like, you gotta have like pre-game routines, and you gotta always be focused, because you can't mess around. Because if you mess around, regardless of how the rankings, regardless of what your record is, if you go in the first game of sub-state and you lose, you're done. Your season's over, just like that. So it's like you really have to focus in. You really have to work and practice, and you really just have to continue to have that main goal and that vision just to want to do good. Because in club, it's definitely there, like state cup and all that, there's tournaments a little here and there, but I mean, that's about it. But high school, I think that, especially since you're playing against, other schools, just all around the state, and it's a lot bigger, and a lot more people know about it too nowadays. So I think that, I think it definitely helps mentally, and I think that it kind of helps shape you and just being more competitive. Like, like, hey, look, like we got to go win this game or our season's over. So I think that it definitely makes you focus a lot more, and it definitely makes you, want to play better, and it definitely wants to, yeah, I'd say that. I'd say.
Well, so talk a little bit about losing sort of, I guess, your junior season, right? So like so maybe talk about what's it like to play in front of fans, then like what's it like to lose your junior season, and then now like your senior season, but like maybe it's a little muted because people aren't quite showing up the way they would have maybe 2 years ago.
Yeah, playing with fans is always great, especially in soccer, we might not be getting as many fans as the football and basketball games, but we're still remember sophomore and freshman year, and when we were playing like the big games like down on that, we got a bunch of fans, and it definitely helps just with like the environment, it makes you feel like you're in like a proper like team. It makes you feel like you're sort of like even like a professional team, they get all the fans, you got people supporting you, you got your classmates coming and all that. But then, once you can't even play your junior season, we were all so disappointed that we couldn't play. Because I know, at least for Valley, we were actually going to have a really good team. We only lost like a couple seniors. So we were going to have a really good team, and we were going to be excited, to play and, hopefully even make state. Because, state is it's like a completely different environment than just playing regular season. Like once you make state, lots of people come to those games, especially down at Cownie. There's like a bunch of people that may not even show up to a single regular season game, but as soon as they come to state, they're showing up, like they're coming to support you. And so this senior year, we still got a decent amount of fans, I'd say, especially since, at least for us, we've been playing pretty well this season. We have a good record, so I think a decent amount of people are still showing up, but it's nowhere compared, probably to freshman and sophomore year, I'd say. So it's definitely like a little bit disappointing, with like the COVID-19 pandemic or whatever. But that's life, and you have to move on. So, but I think playing with fans definitely helps, especially if they're like your classmates and stuff like that, because you can talk about the game like at school the next day. So it definitely helps. But the COVID-19 pandemic kind of ruined that a little bit. But so it's a little bit disappointing. But playing with fans is always good.
Who's the biggest right nowadays? I don't know, Bracket. I'll be interested. This question for both of you. Jaren, you go first. Who's like Valley's biggest rival right now?
Um, Probably it's Rocky or Dowling. It's always one of those two.
I know it's one of those two, but like who is the you're gonna upset somebody and it's like bulletin board material we're asking for.
Yeah,
But if you
probably
wanna
probably Rocky. Probably
because
Rocky.
they're the number one team, which that's
Yeah,
my instinct
and
too.
and we know a bunch of them from BSA too. So
Well, so that's my other question. So first of all, side note, our major rival back in the day was Urbandale, like
Urbandale.
bar none,
Yeah.
which is interesting. But then, so you said that Waukee is your rival. I've been trying to figure out the state cup results from this last fall, but my question was just going to be, like I'm pretty sure that the VSA team won state cup at your
Yeah.
age.
Yeah.
So what's that like? Just like kind of overall for you, like in the guys you're playing with. So like, how much does this mean to you guys? And then like, how much kind of like smack talk is going on? And like, do you feel the pressure? Like, is there a part of you that's like, man, I should go play for VSA, or are you like, you're just like West Des Moines all the way, baby?
For me, I'd always wanted.
Presumably, you would get in the team at VSA.
I've always been pretty loyal. There was a time where I probably could have, went to VSA. But for me, I always wanted to stay with sporting. I always wanted to stay with people around that I knew, especially my friends and my coaches too. And I think that, especially at that time, it was like my junior year going into my senior year. And so, they could put in a word for me for recruiting and stuff like that. So I just wanted to stay with them. And I knew their style of play already. And I just wanted to stick it out all the way and I'll just have fun, just have fun with my teammates and my coaches for the last couple of seasons. And, it's always good to, beat VSA and beat Waukee, just probably how it's like the same for us. Everybody everybody really wants to be Valley. I mean, regardless of how good and bad we are, everybody wants to beat us. So it's always good.
Aziz's favorite thing is a target on your back.
It's our target on her back every day, regardless of how good we are. But yeah, it's always good to beat those cross round rival teams, especially like Waukee this year. Like we wish we could have beat them in the regular season. They're a really good team, so it would always be good just to beat them.
Have you beaten them ever?
Beat Waukee ever?
Yeah.
We beat them freshman year in the regular season in overtime, 3-2. But then we lost in state. We lost in state in the quarterfinal. Yeah, they kind of upset us. So
what about in club?
In club, we beat them. We beat them. We beat them in state cup a couple of times. We beat them in like U15. They beat us in a U16 final, but we beat them. We beat them a decent amount of times in club. So yeah.
Do you ever
Talk a little bit, but
no, I was just gonna say, do you like what's the vibe between like the sporting guys and the VSA guys for Valley?
So it's a little hostile, I'd say sometimes, but I mean, I don't really do that much of stuff, but it's always just it's always gonna be a little bit hostile and stuff like that. But I mean, that happens. That's part of the game. So
I love it.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Blake and I played together all growing up, but some of our Valley Johnston shenanigans they're pretty legendary back in the day.
Were they?
Well, just I mean, because you just get into these big games and it's like, well, I guess we're not friends anymore.
Bragging rights. So
yeah, like we're not friends tonight, are we?
Oh yeah. Like even
Ben should have got sent off in a game. I still remember it to the day. Like he got one yellow card. I got absolutely clattered me.
I absolutely should have been sent off.
The referee didn't give it.
It can be kind of like a weird environment. It's just sometimes, when we played Johnston, this past season, like on Tuesday, I think last Tuesday, I mean, I know almost all those guys. We all play in club.
Who won that game?
We did. We won 3-2.
Hey-o.
Yeah. Yeah. So yeah.
Dodgy refereeing decision is what I heard offline. So
yeah.
Sounds about right.
Oh yeah. Yeah, but when we played them, we know all these guys in club, like we're all super good friends, is who I play with. But then it's just like you get on the field, it's just like, oh yeah, like we're two different teams, like because that was a big game too, just for like rankings and subset and all that. So like we didn't really talk like at all. Like we're coming in, we're coming to fight. Like we're not really that we're not friends on the pitch. We could the game and stuff like that, but on the pitch, we all knew like we all want to win this game. So it's just. It's kind of weird. It's just completely different, two different environments.
And so that's where like I want to move on to like talking about getting recruited and stuff, but
yeah,
I would just be curious about like highlighting that difference between, because I know like even like the club is one of those sort of like it's like you're like interested in a band that nobody knows about or something, like you're playing a game that like literally nobody cares about. You show up on Sunday and it's state cup final and your mom and dad are, and that's it. But then you go and you play against Mason City and everybody and their mom and their girlfriend, everybody's there.
Yeah, so like everyone wants to know how you did. So yeah.
Exactly. So part of it, I just wonder like how much of it is that the results matter, or like how much of it is just that you're like representing your community versus just a club, I guess. Because
I think it's a mix of both. I think that can just kind of like a school pride type of thing, just like you're coming out, you're on varsity, and you're just representing your school, because every
we used to wear your like Valley polo to school the next day.
Yeah, we wear like our jackets and pants and all that type of stuff, and the teachers are asking about like, hey, like how'd you do and all that type of stuff, because Valley's known for a pretty good athletic program, so you always want to live up to those standards. So it's always I think it's like a mix of both. Like are you winning games, and also just kind of like representing your school, hopefully in a good way.
So Brackett, let's get into the recruiting process. Since you brought it up. Obviously, so for those that don't know, you're going to Grandview, but one, because we don't know, or I don't know at least, how did you like talk about the recruiting process and kind of when it started and when you like, I mean, so like if there's kids listening, like give them advice, what worked, what didn't, what you would wish you could do differently, what you're happy you did and whatnot.
So for me, my recruiting started say around junior year. It didn't really help that we didn't have the COVID pandemic, but I'd already had some coaches that, I was on the radar and all that stuff. And so for me, I did a lot of I went to a couple camps. Going to camps definitely helped, especially if you for me, you email the coach before you go to the camp. It's like, hey, look, I'm coming to your camp, like this is where I play and all that type of stuff. And then when you go to the camp, like they already know like about you and all that stuff. So that definitely helped, especially if you perform well in the camp. So that's one thing that I did. Another thing, it's just emailing coaches and just getting them on your radar. I made a highlight video on YouTube. It was around like mine was pretty long. It was like 8 to 9 minutes, but I put all my pretty good highlights in the first couple minutes. So, but that I mean that's something that I did. And I emailed coaches and because that's how
Highlights from high school and club,
I
or
think
just club?
I think it was just club. I think it was just club, but because at that time I just wanted to get something out, and since we didn't have a junior season, I just want to get something out because I had a pretty good club season that year, so I just want to get something out. But
And so is that like
Have you
being,
made
are you,
have you
are
made
you,
have you made the kick it forward top 5 goals of the week yet?
I don't think I have. I don't think I have yet.
are you submitting your goals, or
Do you have to submit them? Yeah.
have you scored any good goals? I guess is the question. I
Yes,
mean, you
clearly
scored a
hasn't
lot,
scored
but
any
like,
good one.
Hey,
I
I
mean,
scored
you
a good one
scored,
against. I scored a good one against Johnston this past week.
he's
I mean,
probably
you
just a
scored
crappy goal
27
scorer.
goals.
Yeah, I had a really good one against Johnston this past week, and I had another.
Maybe it'll make it.
Yeah, I had another good one against Centennial, but that was like beginning of the season. So, yeah, the
Heck,
Johnston.
he scored 27 goals this year. Like that's absurd.
Yeah.
And
That is absurd. There's
he's
not
only
much.
scored 2 good ones.
I know.
Well, I mean, I've had like 5 PKs, and then I did have a
How
free.
many tap-ins? You got to count on tap-ins over
Yeah, I
there?
gotta count. Yeah, I had a free kick that was pretty good too. So yeah, maybe if I score another one, I'll try and submit them in. See if I can
If if you score another one, good. Okay. So I like this humility. It's good. It's strong. What talk about, so like did you just, I can't imagine that you just like grew up always wanting to be a Viking. So like how did you end up at Grandview? What other schools were you looking at? Did you go on visit? Some of that kind of stuff. Like talk about that a little bit. Like did your coaches help you, or did you just ride and figure it out?
it was me and my coaches. So I've always wanted to stay really close to home, and I've always wanted to play at a really high level. So like I went to visits on like to Drake, and I went to Creighton camps. I went to Truman State. So I just went everywhere, just kind of like around here. And when I went to Grandview, I really felt that it was I really liked the school. I really liked Coach Reed, and I felt that like our relationship really connected well. Like I had really good phone calls, I say, just with all the coaches around. And Coach Reed, we developed a relationship right away because I sent him my video and all that, and he thought I was a pretty good player. So I ended up going on a visit, and then I got to meet him. And so I think that something that's super important just for like anybody that's watching is just when you get in contact, just to keep like really good relationships with your coaches, and just just to keep emailing and just keep pushing, because at some point they're hopefully that you get on their radar. And then because once you get that good relationship, then everything is just setting sail from there. Then you can go on visits, you can see how the campus is like, see how the academics is like, and that definitely helped me out. And also it helped out that at a club like Sporting, I mean there's a bunch of coaches at Sporting that went to Grandview, or went or know the guys at Drake and stuff like that. So they put in words for me, and they definitely kind of helped out like my recruiting process and getting me to know coaches, especially at Grandview and all that. So I think that definitely that helped me throughout my recruiting process. just emailing and, the coach, just talking to my sporting coaches and how they, put in words for me and stuff like that. And just forming good relationships. Cause then once you form the relationship, just going on visits and phone calls and stuff like that. And yeah, so that's how, because then I could talk about like Grandview, so on so I got Coach Rhea, I sent him the video. I got to meet him in person. I had all my sporting coaches, kind of put in a word for me. And then once I went there, I went on a campus visit. I really liked the school, it's super close to home. It's only like 15 minutes away. So I can always drive back and forth. And that was something that was super important to me. And I always thought that they played a really high level of soccer. They bring in a lot of foreign players, so I think that's really going to help me, just improve as a player and play in that high intense soccer environment. And once I did that, I was setting sail, and I got offered in like this past December, and then I ended up committing, and I got offered like I think in the fall or something like that, and then I ended up committing this past winter. So yeah, I mean that's basically just been my process. It's just sort of, it was sort of a little bit of a quick one, but just emailing and then getting to know the coaches. Because then once you do that, you basically you can figure out what you want, and then you just go from there. So
I wish
So
you
when
would have done a Drake. Selfishly, you don't
oh,
keep
yeah.
going though, Ben. Unless he doesn't doesn't have to respond to that. I just go ahead, Ben. I'm
no, that's a fair comment. No, I was just sort of curious. So like when you're going through that process, the recruiting process, like um I think a big decision for people is like where like do you want to be close or do you want to be far, and like what is an acceptable amount of distance. Like I know Blake initially went up to like Detroit to Oakland, um in Michigan, and then I was far away. I was out on the East Coast, and so like for me, I was getting to go home like once or twice a year,
Yeah.
maybe 3 times if I was lucky, and it was hard, but I think it was good for me. I don't know that I would have done it if I knew how hard it was going to be. So I'm
Mhm.
just curious, like not like what makes you want to stay close to home, but I mean, I assume it's like probably family and things like
Yeah.
that. Just sort of talk about like that decision.
Yeah, for me, it was just kind of like having that like support system wherever you go, and just I always thought it would be like a really cool idea. If my parents could at least come to a couple of my games, they're always supporting me and say, I have some sort of trouble with like school or like mentally or something like that, I can always drive back home and I can always have that support system. Because my brother did a lot too. He goes up to Iowa State, but he's always coming back home just because like he gets homesick a lot. So it's that kind of like contributed to my decision. I'd say I've always loved being around like my family and all that. So that sort of helped me. I didn't really want to go. I didn't want to go like outside the Midwest. Let's just say that. That's I always wanted to say super close to home, and I got really lucky that Grandview is only like 15 minutes away, so I can go home pretty much whenever I want. So it's just something that it's just something that I cherish. Something I cherish is family a lot. So that definitely contributed to my decision.
That's cool.
So I got one last one for you.
Yeah.
And I love that so we always have we obviously have people on and they always want to know, or a lot of people want to know, not always, like what are we going to talk about? We just kind of wing it. But and we wing it or winged it tonight, whatever that
Yeah.
past tense is. Who's the best player you have played against
Or
Uh,
with, or with.
or with? Yeah, so like on a
okay.
outside of Iowa, within
The
Iowa.
the Gatorade National Player of the Year 2020, Joni Munoz. I think that was his name. I played against him down in Kansas City. That guy was a beast. That guy he was really good. Yeah. So that I mean that's what I can remember off the top of my head. That he
Where's
was
he
really.
at or what's he doing?
I think he's at UMKC now. I believe.
Okay. Oh, okay. Yeah. Ryan
Yeah. Yeah.
Poirier, I got him.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah. I just remember he was wearing green shoes and he was doing everything. He was an animal. Yeah,
Via Sporting Iowa, or were you playing ODP, or what was the deal?
that was at Sporting Iowa. It was a college showcase. It was down in Overland Park and at that Shields complex. Yeah.
Nice.
Yeah. So that.
Yeah, I've heard that boy. I've heard he's good.
Yeah, he's really good.
Nice. Well, I like that. It's one of those that I wouldn't have known that one. Are you Gatorade Player of the Year from Iowa right now, or what's that? What's that status?
Hopefully, it'd be nice, but I'm just gonna continue just to keep playing and just help out my team as best as possible. And then if I win, then I win. If I don't, I don't. Hopefully. But
Keep scoring goals. I'm gonna be disappointed if we don't get to see you at state.
yeah, I want to go to state too, just because the environment it's amazing. Just getting to play at County, have all the people supporting you. So that's definitely, a goal for me and goal for our entire team just to make state. Because then once you make state, I mean, anything can happen. Literally anything. They're really like 8 seeds. Because like I think Waukee won an 8 seed my freshman year, and
Yep.
just before that, they beat Valley in 2017 as an 8 seed. So it really doesn't matter. Once you make it, anything can happen. So that's got to be our goal. We just got to hopefully just win out in sub-state, and then we just go from there.
Get the
We
boys
didn't.
together.
I didn't come prepared. Who's the sub-state? Yeah. Do you
What's
know
that?
off the top of your head?
It's us, Ankeny, East, Ames, North, Indianola. Those 6.
I'm gonna tell you right now, as a fellow Tiger, if you guys aren't at state, I'm gonna be really disappointed.
Yeah, we gotta make state. We got to get there. So hopefully we can just focus.
Barnum and Lounsburg, not in weeks. I mean, there's all Kick It Forward supporters right there that are going to say it's fun.
Oh yeah,
Didn't you guys lose to Ankeny earlier in the year?
we did.
What?
Yeah. I mean, for that game, it was during one of those like little tournament thingies, and so it was our
Excuses
third.
coming. There are excuses coming.
And it's not an excuse, but it was our third game in 24 hours, and we were all really tired. But so were they. And for that game, we couldn't finish, and I think we made.
Coming from the center forward.
Yeah,
I was gonna say,
I definitely had a rough day that day. I really could not finish. We definitely could have been a lot more clinical, and I think there's just a couple mistakes that happened that ended up leading to goals for them. But it happens at the end of the day. So we just hopefully it's good to at least make those mistakes in the regular season. So when it comes in sub-state, you can.
I was gonna say, like, if you get to that game and it's sub-state final against the Hawks, I hope that you internalize that distress and turn it into a bunch of goals.
That's what I'm saying. Like, I feel like if we meet them, kind of be a little bit of revenge. Like they beat us in the regular season. Like we don't want to lose to you guys again. So,
Good man, I like it.
Hopefully, if we do meet him, it will fuel the guys a little bit. So I think that'll definitely be a key factor to that. So
these needs to run a couple of finishing sessions.
Yeah, seriously.
Yeah, I remember 15 years ago, he ran one for us, and like he was 15 years younger, so he could finish, but I don't know if he can finish now.
Well, please say hello to the Valley Tigers, but also, of course, specifically to Aziz Afar.
Yep.
And have you been getting to hang out with Charlie Ellerbrook too?
Yeah. Yep, he's been there. Mm-hmm.
Nice. Chuck and Chuck played with me and Blake when we were like 17 and 18.
Nice.
Yeah.
He's been working with our goalies and stuff, so yeah. Definitely been. Yeah, he's been there every day, so yeah, really good guy.
Right on.
Yeah.
Well, good luck in the next few weeks. I really will be, like I said, I'll be disappointed if I don't see you. I expect to see you at County. Let's make it happen.
Yep.
Let's just like dethrone these Warriors, get them out of there.
Yeah. Hopefully.
All right, Aziz.
Jaren, thank you for your time.
I'm gonna call with the game soon.
All right. Gotcha. All right, but yeah, Thanks for inviting me on. I really appreciate you guys inviting me on. I love talking about this type of stuff. So I just want to thank you guys again for having me on and everything. So
We're excited for you, and we'll look forward to following you here in the next few years over at Grandview
yep,
on the east side.
yep.
All right, man.
All
Well,
right.
take care, and we'll see you soon. Appreciate
All
your
right, yeah.
time.
Thank you.
All right, Blake, that was a good chat. I really enjoyed that. Just throwing a little curveball at you. I love it. What do you think? What do you think that the Valley Tigers are going to do here this year? You think they're going to make it to state?
Well, I mean, they're clearly the favorite, but I would say the friend of the pod, Marcus Varnum and the Hawks of Ankeny have something to say. And again, like it's winter go home. So Heath Weeks down in Indianola, like
Well,
first year
Jose
again,
Mourinho.
they haven't the best results, but again, you never know. So Mark Carlson over at North, I think, is in that sub-state as well. So again, there's another one or two teams in there. So
Sounds very over at East.
yeah, that's right. Yeah, so like I mean, East has had some good results on the year. So you literally never know, but they're clearly, I think it's on paper, they're clearly the favorite.
Yeah, well, we'll we just want to see soccer win, so we don't really care who makes it to the sub-state or out of the sub-state. But either way, like I'll be rooting for the old Valley Tigers, and I hope Jaren does well and scores a couple hat tricks or maybe 3 in sub-state. So, but fun chat, and like it's really interesting to sort of hear how he's gone through the process and made his decisions. And yeah, I mean, I have fun.
Yeah, so did I, and I hope maybe sorry Blair, but maybe there's still time to get him into Drake. You never know.
Fingers crossed. He scores another 27 goals in however many games. I think more than Drake will be calling him.
Yeah, he's clearly scoring goals like crazy. We've seen him play quite a bit, and he's definitely I don't know, probably maybe the front runner for the Gatorade Player of the Year. We'll see.
Well, and on top of that, I mean, you can tell just from talking to him that he's like strong character, good young man, like has his ducks in a row, and he's having fun. So those are the kind of guys I love to talk to. So I'm really happy to know that he's wearing the orange and black.
Absolutely.
All right. Well, we'll see you all next week. Thanks again to Jaren Obia, and then also just to the Valley Tigers in general for helping us get connected to him.
Yeah, stay tuned. We got a big derby next week. Stay tuned to hear about who we're going to see.
Ain't Dutch, ain't much.